Our word today is wind. You know, wind for me has been a powerful symbol and reminder and presence of God in my life. When I was 16 or 17, I was at a camp in the Redwoods called Manitoyan. Well, the camp was called Hope for the Flowers at a place called Manitoyan. And that's the first time I actually felt so strongly that God was calling me to something, to use my life and to use music in ministry. And I went and prayed in a grove of redwood trees after a wonderful evening of worship and music with somebody who's become my spiritual hero and mentor, Jim Strathy. And I went and prayed in this grove of redwood trees. And as I was praying, this wind just came through this grove, and I felt it all around me. I felt it almost filling me, and I just knew that was God's presence filling me and holding me and calling me. Since then, I've had many powerful experiences where wind was a reminder of God's presence, and it felt like actual God's presence. Most profound was on the island of Iona, climbing a small hill called Dunedin, and I stood at the top of that hill and I stretched my arms out and just felt the wind filling me, and just felt God with me, felt God holding me, but also urging me forward, also calling me to a life of serving God. Now, of course, wind isn't God, and it's important when we use metaphors for God to remember that they are just metaphors. They're not the actual God, and it's important to use more than one metaphor for God. Otherwise, the metaphor becomes the God itself. And so I caution myself and us not to always think that wind is God, because wind can do harmful things also. But I also think it's important to realize that God is with us in so many different ways. And when you feel a breeze push against your face or against your body, it can remind you that that's God. God saying, I am with you. You can feel God in sunlight or in rain or in redwood forests. I think the important thing is to realize that God is always, always, always with us. Not only that, God is always wanting us to notice God's presence, to feel God's presence, to know that whatever we're going through, whether it's a desert wilderness or a pandemic or whatever exile we're in, God is with us. And the wind of God's presence is blowing in us and through us and around us. So my prayer for us on this Thursday in Lent is that we are aware that God is with us, that God's presence is in us and around us and calling us. May the wind of God's Spirit blow in you, blow in me, blow in us this day and always. Amen.